farmer Gloria Broming with Farm to Fork Garden Design, and we're excited today because we're going to be headed out to the San Diego Farm Bureau, and they're conducting a tour today with Friends of the Farm Bureau. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically you can pay a participant fee, a membership at their organization, and throughout the year they have different tours of farms and ranches and things all throughout San Diego County. And what's really great about that is you're connecting with the farmers that are growing your food, raising the animals that we're eating in a healthy, organic way. And so you really want to get in touch with your farmers. So step out of the grocery store, step out of your garden, and go meet your farmer. And that's one of the things we're going to do today, and I'm really excited. We're headed to Hometown Farms, and they're a hydroponic farm that grows tomatoes, eggplant, peppers, a variety of different things. Well, I'm sure there's more, and we'll find out when we get there. But one of the things I wanted to just really impress today is that, get out, go on a field trip and check out who's growing your food, get to know your farmers, and you don't always have to look for certified organic, because sometimes there's a large cost with that, and a lot of farmers can't afford that. So one way to ensure that you're really eating organic food, and if the farm isn't certified organic, go meet your farmer and see his practices and what they do, because oftentimes they are growing organically. It's just costly to get that certification. So get out there and get to meet your farmers. Hi, this is community farmer Gloria Broming, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about an organization called TenFold Harvest in Orange County. And one of the things that they do is they're collecting from individual gardens throughout the county, people that want to participate, and provide 10% of their harvest from their garden once a month, and the food goes to help families that are fighting serious illnesses. So one of the great things is we always have that extra produce that we have, so why not plan in your garden to grow a little bit of extra food? Or when you're thinking about that at the end of the month, they send out an email that tells you when they're going to come and harvest. So you just go out to your garden, harvest whatever you have. You could have herbs, lettuce, one tomato, a head of lettuce, whatever you have that you want to donate. You stick it in an ice chest. They come by, pick it up, they take it back to the group that goes and sorts it all, repackages it beautifully for these families that are really in need of some really great nutritious food for their children that are fighting these serious illnesses. So make it a part of your gardening dedication to donate some of your food to TenFold Harvest. Thanks. Hi, this is Gloria Broming with Farm to Fork Garden Design, and we're here on the tour of the Hometown Farms in San Marcos. And I'm here with Mike Castro, whose business it is to grow these amazing tomatoes, cucumbers, strawberries, and a lot more to come that are all grown in hydroponically. And one of the things that I was really excited about this tour was the method in which he uses to really focus his efforts on feeding the soil and not the plant, and feeding the nutrients through the soil and not just on the plants. And I'm really excited for Mike to share with us a little bit about that, the growing system that you have here.
Okay. Everything we do is based on what is termed the soil food web. And by that I mean we have to supply all of the biology and the food for the biology that's in the soil. So the soil is the engine, and the biology would be the gas, and then we use constantly feeding the soil. So we know that if we have the right biology in the soil and the right food for the biology, that they will constantly supply just as much nutrition as the plant needs, so it can have it also when it needs it and as much as it needs at any time.
It is really amazing. And one of the things that I kept hearing over and over out there was the use of compost tea, which I don't hear a lot about out there. I mean, as far as the home gardeners and things like that, but in some of the other hydroponic systems I've heard about, they're not necessarily using compost tea. So I think that's really unique to what you're doing here.
Yes, and you have to understand what is a good compost to begin with, because they're not all created equal. So we look for the best source of biology in dairy compost and regular green waste compost, but we'll actually check it and do a bioassay to see what's in there. Mm-hmm. And if you have the bacteria, you have the protozoa, you have your beneficial nematodes, and you have fungi, then you have the whole system that's going to break down the organic matter. The little bugs are going to consume that, a bigger bug will come along and consume that bug, and then there's a little micro release of nutrients all the time in your soil.
It's fantastic, and that's what results in this wonderful healthy plants that you don't really need to do any sort of worry about disease or things like that, because they're so healthy and strong. And as a matter of fact, some of these tomato plants they're growing out there, they're growing up to 20 feet long. The systems you'll see in some of the video footage we have that he has out here is amazing, and same with the cucumbers and tomatoes and some of the other things. And what I think is really exciting also is that you're really focused on a business that's hometown farms. It's something that's really local, and that you want to supply and not really transport that food far away from where it's grown, and then you'll grow your company or provide that produce by creating smaller hometown farms in other towns. Is that right?
Absolutely. The focus is to produce the most nutritious, delicious, vine-ripened fruit locally at an affordable cost. We're wanting to be able to do this in the ghetto. We want to be able to do this anywhere and make nutritious food available that's not shipped from 3,000 miles away, that is lacking in nutrients, and that's really the reason why our country is in such a sad state of health. And it's not that hard to do. It's just that we've taken the distribution system and basically disassembling. We're changing the paradigm. And we hope that what we're doing is really going to make a difference. We know that there's a big following for local food. That's why we decided, even with all the obstacles, we're going to do it in the city. We want people to see and to be able to connect with where their food is being grown.
That's interesting that you say that about the connection, because before we left today and started our tour, we came from Laguna Beach, and one of my prime sort of mission and principles is really to getting to know your farmer. Like, who's growing your food? And so I'm glad, I know that you're a certified organic grower.
Yes.
But I was saying that, you know, not all people have to be, farmers need to be certified organic. If you know your farmer that's in your backyard and you have a relationship, you know, that's in your community, it's all right, because you know what their practices are. But what I love, and I was excited to learn today, is that you're actually going to have these, your produce available in different towns, and that's why it's hometown, because it's something that can be produced all over, like you're saying in the ghetto where there's food deserts and things like that. We're going to be able to see these wonderful products and nutritious food available to people that really don't have access to it. So it's really terrific what you're doing, and I just applaud you for it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Farm on.
The whole outside of our entire greenhouse has an insect netting around it, so we don't get new things there. These vines are going to go all the way up to the top, and we're going to train them to go over here, and when they get down to the bottom, we're going to pinch the tip on them. So once we pinch the tip on these, then they're going to send shoots to the side and we'll get more fruit. The other way to do this, and you're going to see in the tomatoes, is that we lean them over and we lower them. We release some of the twine on those hooks. So we could wind up with a 20-foot long plant, independent of how high the wire is. That's how we can get around that, and we can grow a plant for 6 to 8 months. Okay? There's 2,600 plants in here. I have a little bit of, these are all regular slices, as you can see. I have some mini cucumbers, Persians, and also some of the English in here just to trial them out. Part of our concept, the business-wise, was to be able to connect directly with the public and do a show and tell. So you can see where your food is being grown, and I love this place when we got it because it had those windows up in front. So as soon as these things get big, if you can imagine, even people driving down the road are going to be able to see all the cucumbers hanging in it. Being in a greenhouse is good, and sometimes it's not so good. Berries, they like a big swing in the temperature in the day and night. That's why they grow them on the coast, and that's why they grow them here. Actually, for me, this is not optimum in the summertime to have this, where you're running temperatures that are real close together. It's very hard to achieve sugar. They like it when you got like 45 degrees, 50 degrees at night, and you can get up to about 75 during the day. So I have to manage the temperature here a little bit different. Yeah. And so that means I have to pick these blood red. And so thankfully I have a variety here that will stay nice and firm and crunchy even though it's blood red and we got the sugar. But sometimes it can be hit and miss on some varieties. I can tell you right now that variety we'll never use again.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets too soft and they'll burst. It's like I check them. I have a refractometer that I use for checking sugar like they do in grapes. Those are like 12 right now, but they'll start busting and they don't look real good, but they're the best tasting ones. Yeah. It's like a pomegranate when it bursts, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How about the pH? Like for strawberries, do they need, like, do you control the pH?
We try and run the pH lower anyway, just because of the way we're doing things. We run it between 5.5 and 6.5. I think we're about 6.7 in here. We check the pH going in and we check it coming out. We also check the electrical conductivity, which tells me how much salt we have. So it'll tell me how much fertilizer the plant's using. In the organic thing, I don't care what the formulation is going in, because what I'm focusing on is feeding the soil, not the plant. You put a lot of the good biology there, like we use compost tea constantly. We're always injecting. It'll turn that thing around and it'll actually make it smell good again. So they're using that now for remediation of even gas stations, the soil and things like that. The bacteria are just amazing. The bacteria also produce enzymes. One of them in particular is called chitinase. Chitinase breaks down chitin. Well, all of the little sucking and piercing insects that we deal with in here, all their skin is like a shrimp skin. It's made out of chitin. So it breaks it down. If you spray it on them, it's like putting hot water on ice cream. And if you build up enough of that in the sap of the plant by using worm castings and good things like that, it'll build up and they won't even land it. So that's a big part of our program here. So we have 15,000 stems in here. That's the way I count a plant. Not how many plants, it's how many stems I leave on each one. As you can see, we prune these, each one of them has it. This is the beginning of the leaning and lowering. This is a Dutch trellis system, so the plants will actually constantly be leaning them over and lowering them till we get out to a certain point, then we'll turn them around and go back the other way, like a racetrack, so the plant can get 20 or 30 feet long. Doesn't matter how high the ceiling is. 6 million BTU heaters over here that heat up that water, circulates through the whole place. These are the controllers for the environmentals, all of the vents, the fans, the shading, and then we have the irrigation controls over there. In this room right here, we have our soil mixing station back here, and I have a backup generator. I have backup water and I have backup power, so if anything ever happens for a few days, doesn't matter to us. We use relatively very little water, probably about 10% of what you would normally use to grow the same amount outdoors. Strawberries we do because we're the only nursery that's on a state highway, and I know that it's a big attractant, you know, to be able to sell stuff here. And at certain times of the year, it can be very lucrative. But a strawberry at the most would put out 2.5 pounds per plant versus 60. But it's a price thing. So yeah, I would do mostly tomatoes. Since we're here and people are asking for more of a selection, we're going to do lettuce, we're going to do kale, we're going to do Malabar spinach and things like that. And I've got some tables in the shaded area at the end of this room. You'll see when we're walking out where we're going to start that right away.
What's your distribution range? Just San Diego County?
We're trying to stay local. The reason we're in the city as part of our model is to be able for us to sell direct to the end user, whether it be a person off the street or selling direct to the markets that are going to be selling to people. What we're trying to avoid is adding any additional cost, transportation, warehousing, and people speculating on our product, because if I do that, I have to leave more room. They're not going to sell it to you any cheaper. You should be able to buy stuff cheaper when you go to the ranch, right? Isn't that the whole idea of a farmer's market? And that really gets my goat, that it's so expensive. It shouldn't be that way, because they're making enough money as it is. I know we are, and I'm selling it at the same prices as Ralph's, Vaughn's, and Albertsons. I'm happy with that. We're happy with that. What I want to do is be able to have people say, well, here's this quality and this quality. It looks the same. Here, the price is the same. What's the difference? Well, this one is certified organic, and it tastes better because it didn't come from 3,000 miles away. Do you know that if you grew organic in Mexico and did everything right and shipped it up here, that somebody growing tomatoes in their backyard with chemicals is going to taste better? Because all of the fruits and vegetables, they collect all of their nutrients and the flavor in the last 2 weeks they're hanging on the vine. So I don't care what you do, it's not going to taste good unless you let it ripen on the vine. So what we're after, we've had really good reception for everything that we have in Whole Foods and the markets, trying to keep it local. When we get saturated and we sell out, then we build another one.
Hi, this is Gloria, Broming Farm to Fork Garden Design, and we just had a great tour of the hometown farms, which are growing hydroponically all these wonderful tomatoes, strawberries, cucumbers, and a lot more to come. So watch out. This is a really great facility. They're doing everything organically. They're using compost teas, and it's really all about growing the biota and the biology in the soil. And Mike is the owner of the operation. I'm here with Steve Goto, which is a great surprise. I didn't know he was going to be here, and he is the tomato king as far as I'm concerned in California. And so we had an opportunity to talk about with Steve about grafted tomatoes. And before we get there, I want to point out, when we were talking inside earlier, we were asking about crop rotation and things like that, and the need to move tomatoes and not grow them in the same spot every year. We've heard about that over and over. Well, one of the things, if you're growing organically and you're really growing and amending your soils for that healthy biota in the soil, you don't need to do crop rotation. So that was like a big wow moment for us. So let's really work on feeding the soil and not the plant. So I'm really excited that you shared that with us. And if you want to tell us a little bit about your grafted tomatoes and some other things, that'd be great.
Well, I'm real happy to see that grafted tomatoes are really taking on popularity. The reason why we would actually grow a grafted tomato or put one into the ground is there may be some disease issues in the soil. Sometimes we have deficiencies in climate, like colder weather or maybe hotter weather. The rootstock on these plants are physically geared to address the disease issues in the soil and also climates. And a grafted tomato is basically a rootstock, which there's many different types, and I don't think I can tell you all the different varieties. But they take the rootstock and they'll cut the top off of it and take any heirloom tomato or hybridized tomato, and the stem is called a scion, and it will physically attach it to the top of the rootstock. And this increases the vigor of the plant. This is something new that's been introduced over the past few years. This is not new to the world. Japan, South Korea, China, the European nations have been doing it since after World War II. And what's really interesting is they don't have a lot of property where they can farm acres and acres and acres of tomatoes. They want the vigor of the plant. That's why the rootstock is very, very important. But they could physically increase the productivity of a lot of the different heirloom varieties by up to 16 times, depending on what variety it is. So this is something that's really nice, and it's going to be the way of the future as far as I'm concerned. Better food production, better flavor, tomatoes, better size. Production is obviously the best thing. Size, the flavor is obviously very, very important. But one of the biggest problems that I want to inform everybody is, when you plant an heirloom tomato, or I'm sorry, grafted tomato, you don't plant it the same way you plant a regular tomato. I think a lot of us know that we could take the leaves off and plant it deep into the ground. With a grafted tomato, there's a graft line right here. It is very important to know that on the grafted tomato, you must plant this just like a regular bedding plant with the soil level top the same as top of the root ball. Never bury the graft. If you do that, you'll lose the benefit of the graft. It's just something very, very simple. You'll find that grafted tomato is a little bit more expensive, and if you planted it too deep, you're not going to get the benefit of a grafted tomato.
So one of the things I wanted to hit on that Steve mentioned was about the production, because you really do. I had the opportunity last year to grow several grafted tomatoes, and it was amazing, the abundance of what you get. So typically on your heirlooms, you're going to get maybe 10 or 15 tomatoes or something like that. But when you're grafted, I mean, last year I had a lucky tiger that I grew that was grafted, and I must have had 50, 60 tomatoes, and it was in a container, and it just kept giving and giving. So it's really something you should try this year, because I think you'll be really excited and happy about doing. Thank you, Steve.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Hi, this is Gloria Broming with Farm to Fork Garden Design, and I'm here with Casey Anderson with the San Diego Farm Guru, and he's one of the team over at the Bureau that has put on a farm tour today at the Hometown Farms in San Marcos. And one of the things that we want to point out about the San Diego Farm Bureau is that they really want to connect people with the farms. We want to build that relationship again, because it's sort of over the years, it's sort of, the food just shows up magically at the grocery store on the plate, and it's really sort of connecting people again with the farmers, what they're doing, how they're growing things. And I got to tell you, you guys are amazing at what you're doing and making that connection and building those relationships.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, San Diego County Farm Bureau, we've been active in the county for 100 years. We're a nonprofit, and our entire goal is to advocate for agriculture as an industry in San Diego County and do everything that we can to make it so that farmers can make a living, can stay in business, can stay on the farm and farming here in the county, and helping produce, you know, the plants and the fiber and the food that we all need and we love. And so obviously, you know, really connecting the public back to where their food is coming from, how it's grown, is just kind of totally in line with our mission of, you know, if we educate the public and let them understand how important farming is to the region and to our lives, then we're, you know, there's just there's going to be more support. There's going to be, you know, people more pulling for the farmers to keep them in the community.
Exactly. And you guys are doing an amazing job. One of the things that you've recently developed is they have a Friends of Farmers membership. Is
Friends
that right?
of Farming, yes.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. For $27 a year, you become a friend of the farmers, and you have access to various tours throughout the year that are specific to the members, so it's not open to the public. And today was a perfect example of that. At the Hometown Farms here in San Marcos, we were able to go on this fantastic tour with Mike Castro, the owner, and it was an amazing tour, because he really he is completely transparent in the way that he is growing hydroponically his strawberries, tomatoes, squash, and they've got bees in there, they've got all kinds of organic bugs that are eating, if there are any bad bugs in there, and it's really about feeding the soil. And you really don't get that sort of information from everybody, so you want to make sure you can contact them and tour this on your own. But through the Bureau and this friendship that we have, this membership, we're going to have opportunities like this throughout the year. You get mailed to you a free San Diego County edible magazine, so that shows up at your door. You don't have to go find it in one of the markets. And there's just a lot of great things that it goes to support as far as what your mission is and your goals. So it's a really inexpensive thing, and it's well worth it. You gain so much out of it. So I would highly recommend you go to the website, sign up, and become a friend of the farmers.
www.friendsoffarming.com. And we're really excited about this program just because it's totally brand new, but we saw the popularity of our farm tour day, which is coming up on June 20th, Saturday, June 20th this year, where we're going to have 15 different farms open to the public. You can register on the Farm Bureau website, sdfarmbureau.org. But we saw the popularity of that one-day event throughout the year, and we thought, what would happen if we offered farm tours, just one farm tour on different days throughout the whole year? And so we created Friends of Farming around that concept, and we've already got 130 friends signed up and participating. And ideally we want 1,000.
Right.
We want 1,000 friends to come out throughout the year and enjoy these individual farm tours and really kind of connect with what the farmers are doing back in the county.
I gotta tell you, it's a really intimate tour that you get. That's what's pretty exciting. I mean, they're small groups, so you really have you can get that one-on-one time, if you will, to talk and ask those questions that you have. So I highly recommend that you join, and that we'll see you next time on their farm tour that they have somewhere in San Diego County. Have a great day. Casey, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Chelsea Road with my top down on my Cadillac. Don't know where I'm going to, but I know it's better where I'm at. They don't know where I am going to find. I sure